Cross the border, fourth meal, think outside the bun. Yo quiero Taco Bell. The company has had some memorable taglines and menu items that you can't forget. In the United States, Taco Bell is ubiquitous, and most everybody has a memory of the place from early childhood, or maybe late nights in college, when their drive-thru was the only place open for miles. But where did the idea come from, and how did Taco Bell get started as a company? In this video, I want to explore a bit of the history of Taco Bell from its early forerunners, by entrepreneur Glen Bell, to its official establishment and rapid expansion thereafter. Glen Bell had grown up poor during the Great Depression in California. When war broke out, he joined the Marines and was sent to the Pacific Theater. During his time in the service, one of his jobs had been to serve the leadership staff meals, including when the leadership of each military branch met to discuss strategy. Not only was Glen privy to overhearing some historically important information in real time, it also gave him the confidence in being able to start a business in the food industry when the war was over. He knew how to serve, how to work hard, and it gave him a good eye for portion control, which would later be important for controlling food costs. When Glen returned home, he quickly got married and took a job working for a gas company. However, by 1948, he was ready to branch out on his own with his restaurant idea. Bell's Hamburgers was the first of such ventures, and there would be many more before he eventually got to creating Taco Bell. Bell's Hamburgers started to become a moderate success, but Glen's first wife wasn't happy with the amount of hours that it took to make this happen, and he ended up selling the business. Glen couldn't keep away from his fast food dreams for very long. In fact, it was in 1951 that he first started making tacos in San Bernardino. Glen wanted to create something different from his competitors, to help to set his business apart from the growing number of burger places in the area, of whom included the first McDonald's location. Plus, his business was located in a neighborhood with a large Mexican population, which sort of gave his idea some cover. As Glen is quoted in Deborah Lee Baldwin's book, Taco Titan, "I figured if Mexican food was successful, potential competitors would write it off to my location and assume the idea wouldn't sell anywhere else. No one would copy what I was doing, and that would give me time to perfect it." Glen had spent time experimenting with creating a taco that would sell well and be simple to produce in an assembly line-like manner. He had also been keeping note of the innovations going on at the ever-popular McDonald's. He had gotten down pat his method for creating the crispy tortilla shell, along with modifying the chili sauce he had used at his hamburger stand to help flavor the taco meat. Not only was Glen offering a different product from the other fast food joints, switching to the taco also streamlined the food service. As Glen says in Taco Titan, "With tacos, every order is the same. It's quick and easy. You can assemble tacos and hand them out as fast as people order them." Glen had set up 2 food stands to test out his new concepts. Once again, marital problems crept up, this time ending in divorce from his wife. As part of the divorce, Glen would give his now ex-wife ownership of both stands. Glen would have a few more partnerships pushing the taco as their main menu item, including Taco Tia and El Taco. One of his former employees would also launch the successful Del Taco chain. For various reasons, these partnerships would end with Glen selling his ownership stake and going on to create another venture. But he always remained on friendly terms with everyone he had gone into business with. Nonetheless, all of the experience that Glen Bell had gathered over the years would culminate in his ultimate success, Taco Bell. In June of 1962, Glen started the first Taco Bell in Downey, California, with his second wife, Martha. The company was capitalized with just $4,000, but 8 more locations would be added in the first 2 years. Every new Taco Bell opening would feature a giant celebration to attract the attention of the public and let them know that the business was open. Mariachi bands, searchlights, dancers were all brought in to mark the occasion. Taco Bell was a hit, and Glen knew that he would have to take his ideas further this time in order to really capitalize on the Taco Bell idea. As such, he started to franchise the idea, with the first franchise restaurant launching in 1965. Glen knew that this first franchise would have to be successful in order to attract other people willing to invest in the company. This first restaurant, located in Torrance, California, was owned by veteran police officer Kermit Beck. Glen personally poured in assistance and brought himself in to give hands-on training on how to run Taco Bell. In less than 2 months, Kermit had already made back his initial investment, and the Taco Bell franchise gold rush was on. While rapid expansion was taking place, the Taco Bell company was always teetering on the edge of solvency. With that kind of growth, there comes a ton of debt, and the cash flow is simply plowed back into business in the hands of creditors. By 1967, they had opened their 100th Taco Bell. Number 270 opened by the following year. Also, there were many parts of the United States who had no exposure to any sort of Mexican food. While this had allowed Glenn to initially fly under the radar with his idea, it also made it so the company had to familiarize the public with what their food was. This would come about through advertising and in-restaurant displays explaining to new customers what each food item was and how to pronounce it. When this initial wave of expansion finally stabilized and became profitable, Taco Bell went public with a stock offering in 1969. This would fund further growth, but also allowed Glenn to sell some of his ownership, making him a millionaire in the process. Things kept apace during the 1970s, but Glenn stepped down from being chairman of the company in 1975, selling further blocks of stock during other offerings, increasing his wealth while decreasing his ownership to 24.2% of the company. It didn't matter, as Taco Bell was making Glenn even wealthier while he stepped away from the day-to-day operations. As Baldwin notes in her book, quote, "For the 9 months ending November 30th, 1977, corporate revenues increased to $82.7 million from $63.5 million in the same period during the prior year. All of this success had attracted the attention of potential suitors. The Heinz Company wanted to buy Taco Bell. Pepsi, who had expanded into the restaurant business with their purchase of Pizza Hut in 1977, also wanted to acquire the fast food chain. A bidding war ensued with Pepsi, winning out. The deal made sense, as Pepsi was already Taco Bell's beverage supplier. The deal was a stock swap, in which Taco Bell shareholders received 1.43 shares of Pepsi for every share of Taco Bell they held. This helped greatly from a tax perspective and for future share appreciation. Glenn now found himself with a roughly 1% stake in PepsiCo. He was now the largest individual shareholder, and the entire deal for Taco Bell was worth about $130 million. Once Pepsi took control of Taco Bell, the nationwide expansion went into overdrive, along with the expansion of the menu, which had remained relatively simple during the Glen Bell years. The first decade of the Pepsi period of ownership would see the introduction of the enchilada, Mexican pizza, taco salad, Taco Bell Grande, and other popular and not-so-popular foods. That's a pretty common theme during Taco Bell's history, the ever-changing menu, with a few key survivors getting to stick around for the long haul. This era would also include some more memorable advertising campaigns and the start of movie tie-ins. Famously, in the movie Demolition Man, Taco Bell wins the so-called franchise wars and remains as the sole restaurant in this fictional world. The Taco Bell Chihuahua was introduced in ads during 1997 and was insanely popular for years. That year, Pepsi also spun off its restaurant division, which included Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC, into what was then called Tricon Global, later renamed to Yum Brands. Yum Brands was better able to focus on its core competencies and unlock more value for shareholders as a separate entity. Pepsi still remains a close business supplier in terms of soft drinks, using Frito-Lay products, and launching specialty drinks under the Mountain Dew brand. Over the past 20-plus years, the menu creativity has been on point, as Taco Bell launched a number of items that you've probably heard of even if you've never tried them. These include Gorditas, Chalupas, Crunch Wrap Supremes, Baja Blast, Grilled Stuffed Burritos, Doritos Locos Tacos, Volcano Tacos, and the inclusion of a breakfast menu. The Crunch Wrap Supreme was the brand's most successful launch of a new menu item. Today, Taco Bell now consists of over 7,300 restaurants in 30 countries around the world, doing over $11 billion in sales.